Peter the Great. In the 17th century, Russia was still stuck in the Middle Ages. Left behind by other European nations, it had no great cities or universities and no standing army. For the previous 100 years, no Russian ruler had left the country to visit other nations. But everything changed in 1682 when Peter Alexeyevich became the Tsar of Russia. Known as Peter the Great, he opened Russia to the rest of the world. He imported Western European advances in science and technology and used them to transform Russia into a new global power. The Great Embassy. Peter the Great had always been fascinated by ships and wanted to create a Russian navy. However, he knew that the necessary shipbuilding and sailing skills could not be found in Russia. In 1697, he embarked on a 2-year trip through Western Europe called the Great Embassy. His goals were to learn about shipbuilding and naval organization, and to recruit experts to return with him to Russia. In Western Europe, he found that leaders were eager to renew the trade and cultural exchange their countries had enjoyed with Russia more than a century prior. Peter the Great visited Austria and then stopped in Holland. There, he worked for a while as a carpenter. In London, King Richard III welcomed him. British merchants paid the Tsar handsomely for the right to export tobacco from Britain's Virginia colony to Russia. Peter the Great stayed near the Deptford docks and often visited the shipyards. King Richard allowed Peter the Great to visit naval bases and gave him the Royal Transport, one of Britain's most advanced ships. Transforming Russia. Peter the Great returned to Russia with more than 60 British shipbuilding experts, craftsmen, and military officers. Immediately, he began to implement what he had learned. In 1699, he formed Russia's first standing army and, to train it, utilized the expertise of British officers. Peter the Great established a shipbuilding industry to construct boats for a navy, which was founded in 1703. The new military helped Russia expand into territory acquired in victories against Turkey and Sweden. One of Peter the Great's greatest accomplishments was the establishment of a world-class city, St. Petersburg. He wanted a city that would compare to the great cities he had seen in Europe. Founded in 1703, it became Russia's capital 10 years later. During Peter the Great's reign, he launched universities in both Moscow and St. Petersburg for studying math, science, engineering, and medicine. Young nobles were encouraged to study and travel abroad to expand their knowledge. Although Peter the Great died in 1725, his efforts to modernize Russia laid the groundwork for further developments under his successors.